Hello, everybody. Welcome to Untapped, episode 13. We've got Levi Kelly, Dana Cox, myself, Kyle Hannon, and we've got Taya SWARTS here with us today. So excited to get in to a lot about, she's a world champion jiu-jitsu athlete, high-end athlete. A lot of really exciting stories with her. But first, we got to check in with Mr. Dana, who just had this incredible show that he did up in Chicago, man. How did that go?
Yeah, it went really well. And I listen to myself talk when I do it. Yeah, man, it went really well. It ended up selling out. Like, we didn't find out until, I don't know, an hour before the event. And so we were like the headline spot at 11:15, and by the time it was 11:15, it was rocking. So, yeah, it was sick. Got to meet a bunch of people that my partner had been like kind of networking with for a long time, and like talk with them myself. And yeah, it was a quick trip, but it was really fun.
How long out do you book that? Like, how long? 6 weeks, or like how long did you know you were going there?
It depends on, depends on a lot of things. Sometimes it can be last second. With this one, it was like 2 months in advance, and that's ideal. You want that way you can get the cheapest flight and all that sort of stuff, get yourself set up perfect. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it'll be the week before,
and then you post your tickets when, like, how early?
As soon as they want you to, or as soon as they get the link for it. Sometimes it's like super exclusive type of party, and this one was, so they didn't have it until like 2 weeks before. So
that means like what, like top G's only? Or?
Yeah, pretty much top G's only. It's like spread the link, and they're not posting it like public, send it to a friend of a friend type of deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So the fact that it was a Thursday night and it sold out, they had parties I think Friday and Saturday, but the Thursday night one did really well too.
Was it for an event or just random?
Yeah, it was a record label called Black Hearts, and that was their like second event only. And yeah, that was really it. Ironically, the first show I played back in Chicago in September, they had their first event that same night. So nobody who would have been at that show or with that promotion was at our show in September. They like got to see us. So it was really cool. It was like we were like the new kids on the block type of deal,
Dang, that's sick. And your boy's from here too, or what?
No, he's from Chicago.
So you're both from Chicago?
Yeah, we actually met each other playing baseball when we were like 12, like travel ball. So.
And you moved down here together, or?
No, he ended up staying, and then when he went to college, he hit me up. I asked him if I could like come home and teach him how to DJ and stuff like that when we were like sick. 18, and then yeah, we started making music. Like, his project's only like a year old now, so the fact we're like playing dope shows and getting good gigs and placement and stuff like that's pretty sick.
Damn.
So
that's sick to have one of your hometown boys.
Yeah, that's like nobody knows you better than you, like who you grow up with. So I
always wondered, like, who am I gonna live around? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? What's gonna be my who's gonna be around in like 10 years or whatever, when I have kids or whatever?
Oh, when I went home, I missed him. I missed like my two of my best friends from high school were there. Like, it made me miss like Chicago, being home, and like made me think like, shit, am I making the right choice? I am. As soon as I flew in and saw the palm trees and felt the weather, I was like, okay, yeah, you're home. But yeah, family wise, it's like when you see those friends, there's nothing like that.
I forget that people like, this is gonna sound weird, but like, I forget that people live here. Like, this is where they're living. Like, for me, it's always been like a travel. Like, it's not like home, but I'm here more than I am home. Yeah. But I forget, like, fuck, all these people, this is their home. This is like their whole thing.
Yeah. I even worry about that with like shows out here. I'm like, shoot, I want, like, even though this is people's home, I'm like, do I have friends out here that would actually come to my shows if I had one?
Yeah, that's what I think about too. Yeah, it's
but
interesting.
Hopefully I will soon, and then all you guys can come out. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
Get a party, get all the TW.
What's it feel like when you got thousands of people just cheering for you and you got that energy going and it's just so much flowing?
I don't think there's anything that can compare to it. I mean, like, I mean, Sean is what I can think of as far as fighting goes, where it's like you're the person, you're the sole person. Where it's like baseball, it's like you're only really going to get that if you're the pitcher or if you're the batter at that particular moment in time. But like music wise, I don't know where else you get like, okay, jiu-jitsu actually too, I'm sure Taya can say, but like when you're just that person, I don't know, you feel like you're on top of the world. It's hard to come down. Like that night when I got back, I was buzzing for like hours.
People are engaged too. I feel like at baseball games, like at the Diamondbacks, fuck, I don't even know how many people are even watching. Like they're there, but how many people in the stands are actually watching the game? Maybe half.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True.
But like jiu-jitsu, people are fucking watching. Like that, they're in there doing their thing. UFC, I would say people are. I don't know. I've never been to a fight, but even like basketball, maybe half are watching.
Yeah, it's a social event. Yeah, I feel
yeah. What's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really it, Kyle. That's all I got for it. As far as like the whole trip goes, yeah, just seeing family and stuff. That's really all I could care about.
I can't wait till we caravan up there for one of those shows, man. We got to get one going in Phoenix, man.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We'll get one at some point. I honestly haven't really worked very hard to do it. My partner's done a lot of the legwork.
Is there a bunch of spots here to do that type of shit or no?
Yeah, it's mostly in Tempe. I mean, in Phoenix they have a bunch of stuff, but it's mostly in Tempe.
Yeah.
So, at some point.
Sick.
JX got the connect, man. We had a little one going on, true. Man. Get some more of those going. I still want Dana to do a little jiu-jitsu DJ, like where he was DJing. We all just kind of rolled everybody like an open mat in a big warehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
I forgot what was JX's events called. I can't remember. They were called Energy, weren't they?
I think so. That's right.
Did you guys go to any of
Energy.
those back in the day?
Yeah.
That'd be sick if gyms had like events. Like,
man.
The last Saturday of every month, we're going to fucking get shit popping in here.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
So fun. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it for Sunday open mats back in the day.
Like Saturday night, like starts at 7, ends at midnight.
Oh,
yeah.
That'd be sick.
I'm so down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right, here. I'm going to pass this over.
All right, so we got Miss Taya. So excited to have her here. She's a world champion jiu-jitsu. She trains at Soul Fighters here in Peoria in our same complex. Tim Welch is her coach. She's a teammate of mine that has helped me tremendously along the way, is super kind. She can armbar me at any time she wants to, and for most people, she's a queen of armbar. She's incredible with that. She's also the hardest worker in our gym. I'd say definitely. Tim has said that himself, is that you show up more than anybody else in there, and it's amazing how that works. You show up the most, you train the hardest, and you become world champion. So what's the story of Taya? Where were you born?
I was born in Fremont, California.
Right on.
From the Bay. I've been training under Tim for about almost 2 years.
Nice.
I moved here in 2021 in February because I couldn't train for a month because of COVID.
Right, right. And how was it growing up? What kind of life did you have growing up? Were you athletic? Like, what did you guys do?
Growing up was fun. I started boxing when I was 14, so that was like kind of like my introduction into the MMA world.
Yeah.
And then I trained a lot, like growing up. Like I always had a passion for training. Like every day after school, I would just go train, and I would do jujitsu here and there. But I didn't even know I liked jujitsu, honestly, until I switched gyms when I turned 18. I started training at AKA.
Nice.
And that's when I fell in love with jujitsu.
And how old are you now?
I'm 22.
22, so that was 4 years ago. How long did you train at AKA?
Well, I would go there during the summers since I was 16, but I was in high school still, so I couldn't go when I had school. And then, so I went for like 2 years during the summers. And then, yeah, when I graduated, I started training full time. And then until 2020, yeah.
And I know you told me your work ethic has always stood out to me. There's things that really fire me up that you told me in your training. And when you're training over there, you told me that you would sometimes just drill a certain move like 1,000 times. What inspired you to do something like that? Imagine that, 1,000 times drilling one move.
I know. I would stay after training every day, and I'll drill like 100 armbar. Well, 200. 100 from mount and 100 from guard with my best friend. But I don't know. Like, there wasn't really like, it's kind of just like how, like, I can't really say. It's just like how I am. I guess if you have a passion, it's just like what I wanted to do,
Yes.
I always wanted to be a world champion, so.
I feel like when it's your passion, you look, you've been doing it for 4 hours and you look up and you're like, fuck, I've been here for 4 hours and it feels like 30 minutes.
It's like all you want to do is train, you know, but sometimes, you know, your body won't let you. You don't have energy, but
right.
The more
I've gotten to know your parents quite a bit. Some of the and your brother, we all have, and they're one of the best families I've ever met, and absolutely love your parents. And you were telling me the other day, kind of a scenario, maybe you could fill in where I'm off about it, but your mom is kind of up there in the Bay Area and hearing other kids say, my kid goes to Stanford, my kid goes to USC. And then your mom's like, my daughter goes to Red Hawk Academy.
I know. She's like, my daughter, my parents, they're so supportive. I would not be where I am today without my parents. For sure not. They're so supportive of my jiu-jitsu. And I was kind of like always like the different one. Like I was like, I don't want to go to college. Like I don't want to like work a 9 to 5. And like, you know, growing up, as parents, they sometimes think like that's the right thing to do to be successful. But I was always kind of the rebel. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't want to do that.
I think parents want the safest. Like, they just want their kid to be okay. So then they're just like, okay, this is the, I guess maybe easiest way to just be safe.
Yeah.
So that's why it's always like, okay, just go to college. As long as you have college, you can at least get a job.
Yeah.
So I think they worry about like, well, if you don't go to college, then...
Yeah, my dad, he wanted me to be a nurse. He was like, they always need nurses. Like, you're going to be financially stable on your own, this and that. But, like, finally, one day, I was about to graduate, and I was just, like, me and my dad, I was, like, begging him. I'm like, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to. And finally, he, like, was like, fine. If you don't want to go to college, you're going to be at AKA every day, twice a day, just as if you're in college. You're going to be training every day. So, like, that's basically what I did, you know. But I didn't take it, like, I was kind of going through my own problems mentally, you know, dealing with, like, certain things. So, you know, like, I would train, but outside of the gym, I wasn't doing what I needed to do, like, the same routines as I'm doing now. And I feel like that's kind of what separates, you know?
Do you think you started, like, I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. A lot of people train, it's like a coping thing. Like, did you start... For me, I started jiu-jitsu because it was like a coping. I was playing bad. I was hurt or whatever. So I didn't know what to do. So I just started that. And I was like, instead of maybe drinking or doing all these other things, it was just like, okay, I'll do jiu-jitsu. And that was like my coping. So did it start from like that, or did it start from...
It started, well, I just love jiu-jitsu. Like I said, it did turn into a coping thing though. And like, I was super depressed. So like the only thing that made me happy was training, honestly. And then when I wasn't training outside the gym, like I was kind of just partying, you know, from the Bay, turning up, like just not doing what I needed to do. And in the gym, I always was good at jiu-jitsu, but I wouldn't do as good in my tournaments, if that makes sense. Because, like, I really had, like, no self-belief or, like, self-worth. It all comes from, like, self-love at the end of the day, you know? So, like, I was training every day, but I didn't love myself. So, it's just, like, you know?
I feel like even now for me, when something happens, maybe I'm pissed off or whatever, like, I'll train harder because of external things. So, that's what made me think, is this a coping thing for me, or is this like, what is this? Where did this start? Like, I was talking about it with a strength, because I threw like shit today at the field, and I was lifting like, he was like, damn, and I'm like, well, it's because I'm mad. And then I was like, am I doing this for coping, or what am I doing here? You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I feel it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, you know how Tim says, like, you kind of have to have things outside of jiu-jitsu that you like doing? Well, I struggle with that a lot because, like, I don't really know what I like doing outside of the gym. Like, I read books and stuff like that, but I don't really have, like, anything else that I'm, like, super passionate about. So, like, my only days I take off are Saturdays. And even on Saturdays, I'm, like, I train 6 days a week. And on Saturdays, my only day off, I'm, like, what do I do? What am I doing with my life?
You're working, too, right?
Yeah, I work part-time. And, you know, pay rent, all that. And then I'm just a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete. So that's basically my whole life. It's just, I work 3 days a week. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing to me. I got so much respect and admiration for it, because it's like somebody going to Harvard. You're training at one of the best jiu-jitsu academies in the world for a young upcoming athlete. Tim is known as I think he's the best fight coach in the world, kind of coming up, and there's so much exciting things going on there. And you're like in the right spot where somebody, if they were going to Harvard, they'd be keeping a job, they'd be hustling, they're showing up. You're showing up probably more than a student would be to their classes and putting in more work than a student would be at your typical college.
No, yeah, for sure. My dad always says, you hit the gold mine with Tim. Like, he's the best coach. He really is. And he likes to build people up. Like, Tim doesn't care if you're, like, a brand new white belt or if you're, like, a purple belt. Like, he'll treat everybody the same, which I really appreciate. Because you go to those gyms, like, AKA, you know, and it's like, my jiu-jitsu coach is pretty cool, but to find, like, because I used to want to fight. Like, my goal was to fight MMA, and that's what I was going to do before COVID. But I always struggled over there with, like, no coaches wanted to work with me because, you know, I wasn't like Khabib or like, you know, they only, if you're in the UFC, if you're not, you're kind of just like, they just use you as like a punching bag. Like, they just don't really like care, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of places.
Yeah. Like, I would come home crying from training, like just crying to my dad. He would always push me to keep going though. I'm like, nobody wants to work with me. Like, nobody like why am I doing this? I think like, you have to keep showing up.
If you're a boss at some massive place and you come to me with world champion jiu-jitsu on your resume, I'm like, you're fucking hired. I'll take that more than a bachelor's degree.
You're like a D1 wrestler or something. They're like, okay, like, we'll
right, because to me it's like they know how to go through hard shit.
Yeah,
and what I'm doing is hard, so this is gonna work out one way or the other.
But that's why Tim's such a good coach though, because, you know, like, if somebody wants to do something, like me, when I moved out here, like, I really had to make that decision. Like, I left California I literally had nothing. And when I moved out here, I was prepared just to live, like, in a hotel. Because where I was going to stay, like, it fell through. So, like, mentally, that's what I was going into. But I was, like, how to make that decision for myself. Like, I'm like, why am I moving out here? Because I want to be a jiu-jitsu world champion, you know? So it's just, like, then everything just goes into that. Whatever you want to do. And like, when I moved out here, I didn't even win a match at blue belt yet. I got promoted. I got subbed 3 times at blue belt before I even won a match. Yeah. So it's just like
impossible. I don't remember that.
Go ahead, brother. Did you come straight to Tim's or did you start somewhere else in Arizona?
No, so I went to the lab for like 2 months, and like, I don't even know, because I wanted to train with Tim, but I mean, I didn't really like, no, I didn't really know. You know, everybody just thinks like the MMA lab, you know, and then, so I was at the lab, and I was there for like 2 or 3 months, and after like a month, I did not like it. I didn't even want to train. I was like, there's something wrong here. Like, jiu-jitsu is my favorite thing to do in the whole world, and I don't even want to go train right now, you know, like. But I met Ashley, so then Ashley put me on to Tim, and I competed once when I was at the lab, my first tournament back, and then after that, I got double silver that day. I lost to that Helena girl. Do you know who that is?
Yep,
with the pigtails. Yeah, she's so good.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I started training with Tim, and I remember the first practice I had with Tim, I'm like, yeah, this is the hardest I've trained since AK. So I'm like, this is where I need to be. And I haven't left Tim ever since.
You bet. And if you're thinking about it, jiu-jitsu is a rapidly growing sport. There are hundreds and thousands of competitors that are trying to not just win at a local level, win a state level, a national, regional, but a world championship level. What was that experience like? Like, where were you at? Maybe you could tell people where you're at and what it felt like going through that. Like
during, like, on that day? Or
yeah,
what do you mean?
Yeah, or the lead up to it. Maybe the lead up to.
The lead up to it. So, like, I got second at Pans, right? And I lost to this girl that I subbed. I subbed her. I armbarred her. And then you know, I wasn't the best training camp for me because that's when Tim and Sugar were in Abu Dhabi. So, I mean, I didn't have Tim. And I showed up with no coach. So, I mean, silver on a bad day is like, all right. But I lost in the finals. Every single match that day, I was losing. Like, my first match, I was losing by 6 points. I came back in the last 30 seconds to win. And then my second match, I was down by 2. And then I came back and I got the sub. And then in the finals, I got taken down 3 times. And all the points that they scored on me were from takedowns. So, like, you know, leading up to that, when Tim came back, it was, like, really heavy on the wrestling. And I'm not a wrestler. Like, I'm not. Tim has really helped me with my wrestling. But... And then I just just knew like I was not giving up points. Like mentally, I'm like, I'm not giving up points. And then even I competed a week before Nogi Worlds, and I got taken down. So and I remember a week before, like we were training, and I got taken down, and I went to the girls' locker room, and I was crying. And Tim comes in there, and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I keep getting taken down." Like I was like just so frustrated. But that day, it was a really good day. Like, having Tim there, he's really a good coach, and I feel way more confident when he's there. You know, my weight was on point, and then I work with Dan Garner. Shout out Dan Garner. He changed my life. So, you know, I have all my supplements. I felt good. And I had 4 matches to win that day, and I didn't give up one single point against me. So it was a good day that day. I felt really calm, though. Really calm, you know, just trying to stay in the moment. And for me, I used to get really bad anxiety. So it's just kind of learning, like, emotional control, honestly, that, like, helps you during the tournaments.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because as a kid, you played sports, though, as a kid, right?
Yeah.
But not as serious as, like,
jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu.
No, nothing like
so it's probably like, holy shit, this is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I always think about some of the guys in the gym that didn't play sports at all. And then they go to a jiu-jitsu competition. It's like, holy fuck. Yeah. This is craziness.
No, yeah, I know. My goal was to win worlds. I wanted to be a world champion at every single belt level. And the year before, I got 3rd. So this year, I was like, you know, like, I really wanted to win. I was like, fuck, I'm trying to win. Because, you know, if I didn't, then what the fuck, like...
You were probably going to get your purple belt regardless, so...
Yeah, I know. I know, but I wanted to win worlds. Like, that was my goal. So, like, I'm very happy that I accomplished that. And then, honestly, winning worlds, it kind of makes me, like, really... I just really do, like, believe in the universe even more than I did before. And I know, like, if you really believe in yourself, like, now I feel like anything I want to do, I can accomplish it.
Right.
You know, it kind of just, like, opened up everything to me. Like, wow.
How did Dan Garner help you? What did he do?
So last year, actually, like, yeah, so last year I won worlds, but I mean the first 6 months of the year I got injured, and then I went through something else, and I was really sad and depressed about it, and I needed to get healthy. So Tim, he offered me one day. I was like crying to Tim, and he like was like, "Oh, like I'll get you, like let's ask Dan Garner so we can figure out like what's causing your inflammation." Basically, like that's where it started. So then he hit up Dan Garner, and Dan Garner said that he would work with me. So that was like the beginning of it, and I get to work with him again this year too, which I'm very happy about.
He's analyzing all of your blood and giving you does he give you training suggestions too?
Oh, so he does everything. So he took my blood work and then my food sensitivity test, and then he wrote me like all these pages of like an analysis basically and a protocol, like, okay, you're gonna do this, this, and this. And then he made me like a 2-hour video like explaining all of my results and like what it means and like how we're gonna do it. And then he basically like, so for the start of it, for like 4 weeks, I was on like this detox diet, and it was super strict, like no coffee, no sugar, nothing processed. And then so that was like the beginning of it. And then after that, he gave me like a meal plan, and then he wrote me up a 5-month supplement protocol. So I take all Thorne supplements. He tells me exactly how much water I need to be drinking a day, what supplements I need to take for hydration before and after training. So he literally, it's just like everything, honestly. Yeah. But it really did change my life. Like I walk around way lighter now, and I've never felt this good physically as an athlete or mentally too.
Yeah.
I noticed a huge change in you when you started working with him. Like I was like, whoa, you look ready this time before Worlds. You're feeling. I could tell you're feeling so. That's kind of my thing. I can tell when people aren't feeling good, and I could tell you hadn't been feeling good, going through some stressors and things, and you were just feeling just awesome. I could tell you were primo function.
I know, it's crazy. Like I thought I was being healthy. No, he had me on like a whole different thing. Dan Garner, he's the man for sure.
That probably gives you a lot of confidence too. Like I did everything right. Like, no. I know I did everything right. So, and there's probably nobody in this building that did the same shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I literally, basically like my whole life is revolved around jujitsu, and then like during that time it was just revolved around becoming a world champion. So like I start my day off with like meditations and like visualizations and like my gratitude. It's like a whole routine, you know, like if specifically like going over like what I want like during my tournaments and stuff like that, to down to like what I eat, how I think, you know, like training every single day. Like training's a priority, so like, you know, and then I make sure I have energy too. Like I don't do too much throughout the day, you know, because I want to train hard. So if I'm like out and about and like doing all like these different things, like you could feel it like when you're training. Like the days I work and then I go train, like I'm more tired for sure.
Yeah.
And my job's not even that hard, but just like mentally exhausted. Like,
right. Your mind is on for those hours. I've tried to be better at that. Like just chill, be ready, like turn it on at the field or turn it on here, turn it on training, but like keep it off otherwise.
Yeah.
Because before I would be on 24, and if I'm awake, I'm on, and if I'm asleep, I'm off.
Yeah.
And it's just it's like a lot.
I know, and then trying to go to sleep early too, like every night, you know, like really just trying to get my sleep in, because I'm like, I know I have training tomorrow. And then once you kind of like, after working with Dan Garner and like feeling like how good I could feel, like being healthy, like doing what he says, it's like I don't ever want to go back, you know, like once you start picking up those healthy habits and you see like how it could change your life in a positive way. So it's like, okay, yep, like I'm gonna keep doing this.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So I was thinking, give a quick little updates on some of my treatment stuff. Some wild stuff has been happening. This weekend, we just had amazing weather outside. It was just so beautiful. I was out with the boys, a whole bunch. You got the vitamin D. I think we were outside like 4 hours, and off and on with exercise, probably a total of 7 hours. Not crazy, but off and on. And that's just kind of what I do to prepare for the times when I go down. Went hiking Sunday, and it was last night, went to bed and just struggled. My body, we're in this chemo, so my whole system kind of goes up and down, and the tumors are really starting. It's almost like they're growing and growing. We're hoping that they're growing and growing and they're just going to explode. They're just going to pop. So they were growing and growing. I was getting crazy fevers. I was just, you know, Ara wanted to take me in, but I've been there before, so we just kind of pushed through it. And slept, got up, took the boys. Ara helped me take the boys to school today. She was around today. We got back. I slept, got up again for some labs, went back to sleep again. And the whole day I'm like, oh man, I want to come here so much. I've been looking forward. This is like the highlight of the week. And it's kind of analyzing as I'm sitting here, how much better I feel no matter what when I'm in this setting of podcast, of us just talking in a group on kind of guided subjects and guided topics. And I think there's something super healthy about that, is, you know, just meeting together for a purpose and with people that are like-minded, that you love and that you hang out with. It's just so healthy versus, you know, if you're sick or you're going through it and isolating and things like that. I think there's a fun part of the podcast because we get to kind of, you know, update people with information and entertain, hopefully, and that kind of stuff. But I think I'm really stuck on right now the healthiness of doing some kind of podcast. Maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a podcast setting, but getting together with a group of people. Maybe you go out to eat and you have topics and, you know, you have a good time versus, you know, sick and you just stay. But it's been crazy because I can feel these tumors popping up all the way up the neck. So I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and I just can't catch the breath. The heart rate's been up 94 beats a minute. Usually we're at 64. So like right now I'm feeling good. I met it up. I'm like probably rambling and a little bit out of it. This is like, this is just where my brain is right now. But we're going to keep plugging away. And if tomorrow it's not working, I kind of told my doctor. So I start on palliative care tomorrow, which is, we'll really analyze giving me more options on how I can treat with different medications and things. So I feel grateful that I feel like I got a good team right now where my doctor will kind of let me lead. I got a couple different doctors and things like that. But but it's just amazing. Sometimes you can feel like it's the end. I was even when we were coming in, I was kind of grumpy, and she's like, "You're never grumpy." And she was laughing so hard because I was just like so grumpy. I was like, this fucking thing over here. I was looking, it's just so grumpy. Like the meds will take you sometimes places or whatever, but I don't know. That's just my little tangent thought. Right.
I think there's definitely something beneficial, like health. There has to be something to like communicating. And I think our society's gotten so far away from that.
You're right.
Because it's so easy to text. It's so easy for me to text what I want to say to the camera, but it's much harder to talk about it.
True.
But I think if you can do that, even camera off, whatever, mic's down, like if you can sit down and talk to somebody and your brain's not spinning on whatever, and we're just chilling, talking, whatever, it's almost a form of like meditation because you're focused on this and not like nonstop spinning.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true, and I feel like it builds getting to know. I've known you for 2 years now. You feel like family to me. Mm-hmm. Same with your parents. I love you guys, and I'm learning stuff about you now. Like we're growing, all of us are growing closer in this setting, and just kind of an exciting thing that I just love the whole world of podcasts. I think it's fun.
Do I think you learn about yourself just talking? And if we're gonna shoot 100+ episodes for an hour plus long, that's a lot of hours of talking. So if we're gonna sit here and try and be fake for the camera, like the truth is gonna come out because we're talking so much. There's no way we can fake it for that long. So eventually, maybe 50 episodes in or whatever, it's gonna come out. So for me, it's been to be real on the camera has helped me be real, like just in normal life too. Just walk to the field. Okay, this is me. Regardless, you're gonna see it on my podcast anyway. I don't care. Like it's gonna come out.
I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. And I think Mike Stud was talking about that, like how if you podcast for long enough, like this shit's going to come out because you're talking for too long. And so you might as well just let it go.
I just heard a good one with him I think the dude was from the Brewers.
Yeah, Yelich.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was good.
That guy signed a big time contract and then didn't perform the last couple of years.
Can't imagine that. But I like how he's still like, hey, I'm still going to give my best to try to turn it around.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do at that point. Like, he's not trying to, fuck up. So, but he was like one of the best. Or he was MVP that one year.
MVP,
yeah.
And I think he was probably almost up for like a Triple Crown or something like that year.
Yeah.
Let's do it at least.
Crazy.
Baseball's a weird one because you play like you're judged on a long season. So I guess it's a more true judgment. Like fighting, you just get caught and now you lost, you suck. But like baseball, we play tomorrow and we play the next day and we play the next day. So you can't look at like one performance. You have to look at like, okay, I had a good month, or I had a good first half, or I had a good season. Where like you look, I guess you can look at tournaments because you typically win your first couple matches, so you get more than just one match. But some people go in there, they lose 30, they get subbed in 30 seconds, and then it's like, I don't compete for 6 months.
I feel like with jiu-jitsu though, like you're gonna lose. Like I don't know if there's anybody that's like undefeated that's like never lost a match in jiu-jitsu.
One.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
maybe Levi.
No, I've lost.
Right? Like I don't know. Jiu-jitsu sometimes you just lose, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But then you win a lot too, so it's even better.
I remember my first tournament. I was just afraid I was going to lose the first match. I just wanted to win the first match, and then I would be good.
Did you win?
No, I was winning 10-0, and I got DQ'd for reaping. But I still got another match because then, like, Tim was videoing it, and he took it to the guy. I was like, this isn't reaping. This is bullshit. So then they let me get back in the bracket.
Tim the plug. Wait, what tournament was it?
World League, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's like a couple years ago. So it was fun. It's fun to watch old videos too, and like, what the fuck was I doing?
I know.
What kind of pods are you listening to, Taya?
Your guys's. Joe Rogan's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
And I listen to all like the Timbo Sugar shows because that's literally how I moved out here. Yeah. Was from Tim's podcast.
Heck yeah.
But those are all I like listening to stuff about like meditating and stuff like that. I'll find stuff on YouTube, but mostly it's just like Joe Rogan. I like the Nelk Boys too.
Oh, me too. Them. Heck yeah. I like that. I don't know if you guys saw the ones where they went to Russia.
Oh yeah, with Khabib.
It's so fun. I've been just stuck on this all week, is the way that they train over there, how they get up early. And I know a lot of old school boxers do this too. They wake up at like 4 a.m. They do the running, they go back to eat and go back to sleep, get up again, do their next stage of training, and do that like 4 times in the day.
And they all are always together. Like at AKA, it's like the Russians are coming back, and they come like it's like their mob 30 deep. They all look the same, like some hairy, just like grown.
Are they rough too? Like.
Yeah, and they talk their language. They're pretty cool though, but like, you know, they don't really they literally say like, I don't know why girls fight and stuff like that. Like for like women. And then, you know, after training where we like go like that, like the fist bump, like a lot of them wouldn't even touch me cuz like in their religion they're not allowed to touch girls. So like I mean, I would be in the same room with them, but it's like they don't roll with girls or anything like that.
I've been watching the Vikings show and seeing like they would raid these villages and they don't know how to use plates or anything like that. They're just grabbing the food and eating it. Like thinking other countries, like we're pampered. We have all this shit. Like 100%. We can do this podcast or whatever. I think Sean Strickland talked about that. Like the reason there's not a lot of American champs is because we're soft, because we're so privileged.
Yeah.
We're like other countries, they're maybe rough. Or they're definitely rough.
I don't have a
yeah.
Ever since I saw that on the show, I've been eating my food with my hands. No, I'm kidding.
I do. I like eating things.
I do too, but yeah.
Well, in other cultures, I do that. Like my boyfriend's Ethiopian, so he'll explain to me how they all like sit and like eat the food with their hands and stuff like that.
Like Courtney, the dog. I live with Courtney and Jakar, so their dog got attacked. He's got like a thing on his eye, but. Like, and they took him into the vet, whatever. But in West Virginia, like, dogs, they just fucking fight. Like, sometimes the dogs will come back all fucked up, and then you have to, whatever, because they're like farm dogs.
And there's like stray dogs too and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I was just telling Taya, like, Rocco, he's got this eye, and to the vet, whatever, which is great. Like, I advise it. But in West Virginia, it's just so even the dogs are different because it's like farm life compared to like a city dog. Interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned your boyfriend. I got the honor to meet him a couple times. He's such a cool dude. I know he's trying to. What's the latest update? I know he's been trying to get out here, right? Luke Air Force.
Yeah, so he's trying to. He's in Texas right now. He's in the Air Force, and he's trying to transfer out here. So we're gonna submit the paperwork, but with the military it's always something, so like we had to wait till like a certain date to where we could submit it. And then they were like, oh, your blood work's not up to date, so then he had to go get blood work. So as soon as that gets cleared, we'll submit it. So I mean, I really hope it's gonna go through, because with the military it's like nothing, like we're pretty sure it's gonna work, but you know, nothing's guaranteed.
Right.
So yeah, and I really hope because if it doesn't, you know, he's in the military, so he can get deployed, you know, like they can move him around, like they just basically do whatever, tell him whatever they want, like it sucks. And where he's at too, it's kind of like depressing because he's in like a little small town with like nothing there, and he lives on base, so it's like super secluded, and then he's just around all these like low vibe depressed people all day. Like they don't have any healthy food around, like so it's kind of easy to like fall into like getting depressed almost, you know, if you're just around those people all day.
I wonder what the like special forces, imagine if like the special forces should be working with like Dan Gardner.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
No, they're like, the military is like backwards, like the way they like their health and nutrition and like their sleeping, and like they only let them get like 4 hours of sleep or something, and Dan Gardner is over here trying to tell us to get like 10 to 12 hours or something, like you know.
I think too,
like eating healthy, like their food, like eating healthy, like nutrition, like they don't really care about stuff like that.
Right. Maybe their mindset, this is kind of the mindset with baseball too a little bit, is like shit is not going to be ideal, so you can't live an ideal life, because if you do that, not like for me, they always say, oh, you do everything too perfect, because then you get in season and you have to eat shit food because there's no healthy food, and maybe that fucks you up one way or the other.
Well, so some people, like, in the military, they're not mentally strong. Like, when he was in boot camp, somebody tried to commit suicide. And, like, I have other, like, people we grew up with that are, like, in the Marines now. And, like, one they're on a Navy ship, right, for, like, 3 months. And he walks in, and somebody hung himself.
Oh,
and, like, this kid that, like, my brother's best friend growing up, like, witnessed that. Like, can you imagine, you know, coming in and somebody is just, like,
I wonder if it's got to be, like, isolation. They're isolated on that ship.
Just isolated, just being depressed, and, like, just having, like, I don't know.
The military should be ice bathing and shit like that, bro. For real. They need to, though.
They need to, yeah.
Definitely.
But
definitely.
It's, like, hardcore, though, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's, like, you know, China or somebody, they try to come over here, it's, like, the military are the people that are going to, like, protect us, you know? So they kind of have to, like, be tough, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a different world.
What do you got planned for traveling up ahead in the next few months?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I travel a lot for tournaments, but, I mean, next week I'm probably going to go to California because I have a dentist appointment, and then I'll probably head back to Texas to see my boyfriend, and then in March I'm going to compete in LA, IBJJF LA Open.
Ooh.
So that's kind of what's lined up for now, honestly.
Are you sticking mostly just to the big tournaments now, or a little bit of both?
Well, I'm gonna do both. So any of the tournaments that come to Phoenix, like the AZBJJ ones, I'll do, and then as many IBJJFs I'm gonna do. So I mean, cause sometimes they're kind of far, like in London or something like that, or like all the way across, you know. But I mean, it really does helping out because the more you do, you get points, and then those points. They seed you really good in the bracket. So, like, for Worlds, like, I had a really good seed in the bracket since I did a bunch.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is this going to be your first purple belt?
Yeah, so I make my purple belt debut on this Saturday. So
that's the IBJJF? No?
It's IBJJF rule set, but it's just the AZBJJ, but it's the same exact rule set, which I like, you know, because it's, like, the more reps or whatever. Like, they just did Naga this weekend. I'm like, I'm not doing Naga. Bebo's a blue belt. He gets heel hooked. I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
That's no fun.
Fuck that.
Man, oh, man. How we doing on time, Mr. Dana?
I think you're at 45.
Right on.
Good to go. That's good with me.
We got some good stuff, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's far.
Right on.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being on. We gotta do more and have updates with you on as we go in the future. That's a fun time, and man, well, if that's it, I guess that's all we got today. Everybody, thanks for watching. We look forward to the next one. Love to hear your comments. Spread the word. We're trying to get our Untapped movement out there. Much love.
Peace.